Well, Kirby Smart had a lot to say about Mississippi State, from Blake Shapen's arm to that explosive receiver duo and a disruptive defense. But is he giving real respect or just SEC coach talk? Let's break it down.
You are Locked On Mississippi State, your daily podcast on the Mississippi State Bulldogs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every single day, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. My name is Jaron Spor. I'm a national college football writer at Athlon Sports. That's Landon McBride. We've got a packed show for you today. Stadium noise, is it a big factor? Kirby Smart talks about it. There's also The Athletic does a ranking about it. We're going to talk about that coming up next. And then we will give our upset pick of the week. Can we keep going on my winning streak, and then can you bounce back after last week? But first, let's dive into Coach Smart and some of the things he had to say in his press conference this year for this week. Landon, was there anything that stood out to you?
Well, he started off by kind of just your general SEC coach speak. Another week in the SEC, it's really good opponent, all that kind of stuff. And then once he started, he got into a lot of players, and he got a lot more specific than we've seen a lot of coaches get this year. He talked about Shapen and how he's a good fit and has a great arm, great vision, and quick release, which is critical in their offense. So he went into a lot of detail kind of about the things he likes about Shapen, and it's a little bit more than what we've seen, like, oh, he's a great quarterback, and then they move on. He actually talked about, oh, he has good vision, and he does have a good arm. And, yeah, he holds on to the ball too long, but his release is quick. So, I mean, Smart went into a lot of detail in this press conference.
Yeah, and that's one thing that kind of stood out to me because when you read or listen to his press conference or just read kind of his quotes, you understand why he's probably the best coach in college football.
Yeah, you do.
Because how many coaches will break down all those type of players? Like you just mentioned, that it doesn't really happen. Mm-hmm. And that tells you right there that he's watching a ton of film. If he knows all those little details about, you mentioned Blake Shapen. He also talked about Anthony Evans. Like, he talked about several players, Brendan Thompson. He even talked about Kamario Taylor and broke him down a little bit. And the things he said about Anthony Evans and Brendan Thompson, he's like, yeah, Anthony's played awesome. It was great the last 24 hours. I've seen highlights throughout the year, watching Anthony play really well just in games and passing and things that overlapped. And then yesterday, you get to sit and watch 4 or 5 games in a row. He's really played well. Explosive, fast, vertical threat, quick game threat, blocking well. He's always been a good returner. He's everything we thought he was. He's really grown, gotten better, and as you grow up and get better, you improve, and he's done that at a really high level. Then he goes into Brendan Thompson as well. Yeah, I mean, he, again, this press conference was Monday? Mm-hmm. And he had already watched the game that they just played.
4 or 5
and then 4 or 5 other games.
I mean, and because, all those things about Anthony Evans, you could say that 99% of those, you could just say that if you just know who Anthony Evans was as a player. Oh, vertical threat, quick game threat, all that. But he's really done the digging when it goes blocking well. That's a coach that has studied the tape when blocking comes up that quickly when talking about a receiver. So like we said, this is one of the most detailed press conferences that we have gotten yet. And then he goes into Lebby and, what progress has they've made under Lebby? He's like, well, number one, it shows hard work pays off. They've continued to work hard and stay true to themselves. All you have to do is watch the tape. They've been in every game. And he goes on to a lot more detail. But yeah, and we've mentioned this in a lot of press conferences. Every coach is saying this team is better. This team is improving. Yeah. You see it both in the games and on the tape. Not just that they're in the games. You watch tape. You see how much better they've gotten.
Yeah, and this is the first one. So we mentioned some of the players he mentioned by name. He also talked about State's secondary as a whole. Mm-hmm. And again, that's stuff you don't see that from a coach that is breaking down all these different players and positions. And again, we think State secondary, surprisingly so, has been so great this year because coming into the season, that's what we thought was going to be.
We both named it our biggest question mark on the
team. And they've answered it. And a big part of the question mark, however, I was really high on Kelly Jones this year. I talked about it for the year. Was would he take that step? And he's taken a bigger step than I even thought he was going to take. And I was high on him. Yes, he did. He took a big leap. And so that's been awesome to see. But he talked about them and he said they have some length. I haven't seen this kind of length in a long time at a corner and safety in terms of length. Allows you to tip balls, knock balls down, intercept balls. I mean, again, Kelly Jones is 6'3". Like, he's a big guy out there. Then he was asked about, I thought it was interesting, his take on the 11 a.m. kick. Because he had just answered about the cowbells, which we'll get into that more next segment. But he said, as far as an early afternoon or early kickoff, that's more unique to me than the stadium. He said, when you go onto the road, when you go to the road games, it's road games and it's hard. The uniqueness is the change in time zones a little bit because you're changing time zones and what time the kick is. Unless they don't have to show up until earlier or later, it's the same for both. It's how you manage it. We approach it differently, take a lot of ideas from other people on the best way to manage it. But sometimes you make a bigger deal out of it than it is. You've just got to go play. And so I did think it was funny how you just don't think about that stuff.
You don't.
Like, in deep down, okay, this is going to be a time change for them to come here or there.
I literally did not think about it until I was
you don't think about
this press conference. Like, I think about it when I see Oregon's playing Rutgers.
Right.
But I don't think about it.
But even then, do you, like, actually sit there and go, oh, shoot, they're going to play, 2 hours later than
when it's a late game
you actually
early game, the 2:30 game, I don't think about it. But the 11 a.m. kicks and like the 9 p.m. kicks, I think about that for each coast.
Right.
Middle of the day, I don't. And I'm definitely not thinking about it for another SEC team. That's not crossing my mind.
I think the only time I really think, if you get those dramatic ones, like I can't remember who it was a couple years ago, but they played at BYU. And it was an 11 a.m. kick BYU time, but for them, I think they were Central.
Was it West Virginia?
I can't remember who it was, but I think it was Central time. And so it was 9 a.m. for them, but they're playing an 11 a.m. kick. Like that kind of stuff. I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird. Like that throws me off. But yeah, I just think you don't really think about that stuff. And so for him to openly acknowledge it, because it's really not strange when you're playing a 6:30 at night game and it's an hour difference.
The whole day.
But playing 11 a.m., that can throw you off a little bit.
Yeah, especially when it's that hour earlier. Now, I think if it's the opposite way, you got that other – it's just like different. It just throws you off when it's early in the morning one way or the other, an hour earlier or an hour later, depending on which way you're going. And I don't know. This is one of those press conferences where you realize, like we mentioned, you realize why he is where he is. Yeah. Like the fact that he has –
a lot of details.
Breaking down like the changes in their routine before games for an 11 a.m. kickoff, all the details on all these players, talking about the length in the secondary and how many turnovers they face. I mean, and mentioning watching 4 or 5 games in a row.
Yeah.
Over about what would be about 36 hours between when their game ended and when this press conference happened. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, I wish every press conference was like this and we didn't just get they're a good team. They've improved. Yeah. Quarterback looks good. Like this is
some good things.
This is nice.
Yeah.
Thanks, Coach Smart.
Yeah. The last thing I want to bring up is the SEC availability report. Georgia is going to be without Colby Young. He's their second leading receiver, so that's going to be big. Mississippi State, though, Jaron Manning, who I did not think had much of a chance to play just because it looked like a concussion. I don't remember if they ever actually said if it was a concussion or not, but it looked like it was. He's probably – Albert Reese, doubtful. This has just been a weird thing because it feels like every week we see him as questionable and then game time decision and then he's out. And it's like, okay, well, next week he'll play. And then he's doubtful and then he's out. And then – I don't know what's going on. I don't know if he's having setbacks in practice or what the deal is.
Yeah, that's a really weird one. It's great to hear that Manning's going to play because he's been such a huge part in that secondary. Yeah. But Reese is just weird because, and I guess they're just leaving him on it. But, when he released the depth chart earlier the week, he was on there listed as a starter, right. Which, I mean, I get it. But I think it's weird if he's doubtful that you're going to leave him on there. But I don't know what's happening. This injury's just hanging around and I guess kind of flaring up at different times. I don't know. Maybe the bye week coming up in a couple weeks is when he'll finally get better. But I really thought he'd be back 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it's very weird. And, hopefully he's Back soon because they need him. I mean, he's their best offensive lineman, in my opinion, and I think the numbers show that. All right, coming up next, stadium noise. How big of a factor is it? Kirby Smart dives into it. The Athletic also does some numbers on it as well. Talk about that coming up next. Well, when the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with Supply House. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. Need parts fast for a project? Supply House has next-day delivery. Talk about a game changer. The Part Finder tools and 3D schematics can save you hours on jobs where every detail matters. Join the free Trademaster program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use promo code SHCollege5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. Well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every single day, part of Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. All right, Landon, why don't we start with the athletics ranking, and then we can kind of dive into what Kirby Smart had to say. Talk about this athletic report that you found.
Okay, so what it is the Athletic has a ton of college football writers, and they pulled a lot of, I think all of them, but then the ones they got quotes from are kind of the national ones, not the ones dedicated to certain schools. And they ranked every SEC stadium, but then after that, they went into what is the most underrated SEC stadium. And Stu Mandel said Mississippi State, and his quote was, "It may be half the size of some of the others, but you would never know it from the decibel level. Those cowbells are no joke. They run a PSA on the scoreboard reminding everyone of the rules, and they follow them to the nanosecond. Those things stop clanging only when the center is over the ball, ready to snap." So they did that, and then they did they called it, SEC superlatives, just kind of like different things. Yeah. And they said, most annoying source of noise, Davis Wade Stadium. And it's like, we had different reporter. We have to give some love to the cowbells. They can create such an awful racket when the Bulldogs do something good. Christopher Walken might even ask them to tone it down a bit. But like an especially objectionable goal song in the NHL, the idea is to grate on the opponent's nerves. And like they said, when you talk about decibel level and annoyingness, but that's what you want. Loud, create a problem for the opponent.
Yeah, and it should be a compliment. I hate seeing all these people that are like,
ban the cowbell.
All these other teams can't do this stuff. And it's like, well, this is a tradition. There's a history behind it. Like, there's all these things that go behind it. And, and as you mentioned in the deal, they're not breaking the rules in terms of they've been allowed to do this. And they've been some rules set, like, hey, this is where you have to stop. You can't do it past this. And as you just read, they're following it to a T. So it's not something like they're overusing and all this stuff. And my thing is, this is what I will say about it. I think it's dumb other teams can't do stuff just because, and I'm not saying this like, oh, so Mississippi State shouldn't be allowed to. I'm saying everyone else should be allowed to do this stuff because I think that's a part of football, part of what makes it fun. Like, make all the noise you want to make. Now, if you're doing like the laser pointing stuff, like, no, none of that. I'm not saying that, but you want to do some air horn, like, I don't care. Do it. Like, have fun with it.
You see it pop up. There's a few other places that do something, not cowbells, but have something that, like, Oklahoma State, the paddle people. They're smacking the side of the stadium. But again, you have to stop when center's ready to snap the ball. So same kind of thing. That's there, and I'm blanking on more. There's 3 or 4 more that I just cannot remember for the life of me, different types of things like that. But it's just, you're still following the rules. It's not like an unfair advantage. It's just something they did. Find your own thing and follow those same rules.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Kirby Smart was asked about it. He said, hey, noise is noise. It's hard to play in the SEC on the road. I've not been to an SEC venue that it was not hard to play into on the road. It's just hard. That's not going to change with them. They've got a really vertical stadium. I think noise gets trapped in their stadium. It's one of the loudest places I've coached. Props to you guys. And I've coached there a lot. They've got a lot of pride in how they play and how their team plays and the support of their team. So That's big praise
Yeah.
for Kirby Smart because he's played in the best venues when it is at its loudest because Georgia's there.
Yeah, and he mentioned the verticalness of the stadium, and that's something that is not really thought about a lot when you think about the decibel level. Because when you think loudest stadiums, what always comes out? It's like, A&M, Ohio State,
Right.
Michigan, all these massive stadiums. And this has been years ago, so I know it's changed since then. But at the time, Oregon Stadium was actually the loudest by decibels, even though they only have, I think at the time, 56,000 people or something.
And it's because they strategically built it. Yep.
So I think that is something that people don't think about when they're really thinking about you. And you factor in that with cowbells when things are rocking. That's a very tough place to play on that field.
Yeah, and for Kirby Smart to say that kind of stuff, I mentioned it. That's big props because, I saw, I think ESPN might have put it out, or maybe Oklahoma put it out. But when they were playing Tennessee, they were playing some video from Brent Venables in the locker room, and he said, "Hey, Tennessee's played a lot of big time teams over the years, but this is like one of their few night games, and it's a night game because the Sooners are in town." That's what he said. Georgia's the same way.
Yeah.
Like when they go places, that's the night primetime game most of the time. Like they're a team that when they're in town, the fans are packed. They usually have too many people for their seats. They just pack these stadiums. And for him to say, "Hey, I've coached here many times, and there's not many places louder than this," when, as you mentioned with the Oregon, they're not one of the bigger stadiums. It's just how it's built, and obviously the cowbells and just the fans going nuts. And that's why I was so disappointed that Levy had to buy the 500 tickets because these coaches, week in and week out, how many times we've heard it in press conference where teams mention the environment, the cowbells, and how difficult it is to play. It's not difficult when you show up and you're Tennessee and most of the fans are Tennessee fans. It's not difficult then. It's difficult when most of the fans are Mississippi State fans and it's 90-10 Mississippi State fans.
Yeah, and you have to do that. And yes, it helps the players on the field. It also helps you recruiting-wise because it shows those prospective recruits, whether they're watching on TV, just scrolling through Twitter, seeing clips, or actually at the game, how crazy and passionate your fans are. If you're packing stadiums, no matter what the game is, and are making life miserable for the opponents, they're like, that might be a place I want to go play because I'm going to have all those guys behind me. And I will not say 12th man because I'll probably get sued by A&M for bringing that up.
Yeah.
But, it's that kind of thing. You have to create a home field advantage. I mean, you see it affect people, whether it's calling that timeout way too early in the first quarter, false start here, not getting a play called in time because you don't know the snap count because you can't hear anything. And I mean, you just got to do it. And this is, as we see from Kirby Smart, reporters who go to every venue, this is a place that has that reputation.
Yeah. Now, with all that being said, Georgia hasn't had many struggles against Mississippi State.
Yes.
Mississippi State has won one time since 1975. That was in 2010. It was in Starkville. I will say last year was in Athens, and it was a 10-point Georgia win, 41-31. Kirby Smart is, 4-0 against the Bulldogs. Oddly enough, I was looking at it. So the all-time record is 21-6. 4 of the 6 wins were in Mississippi. Now, I say in Mississippi because 2 of them were in Jackson, Mississippi, not Starkville. But it feels like when they do win, it's in Mississippi. Yeah. So maybe that bodes well for you this week. Luck. Oh, also, I forgot to mention this at the beginning. I posted about it yesterday. If we're having any video quality issues still, we apologize. Hopefully, we're going to have that fixed by Monday. The issue is we don't know if it's an issue until after we finish recording. So this could be perfect, and this statement means nothing. But it also could be very blurry this whole time, and you're wondering what's happened. We think we have figured
watching a blurry video. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. We think we figured out the issue, and so hopefully Friday we get it fixed. That's unfortunately the earliest we could get it, so that's why we won't have it fixed until Monday's show. So unless it's fixed now, like I said, we don't know until it happens. But all right, coming up next, we will give our upset of the week. Can I keep my winning streak going? Can Landon get back on track? Who we got? Find out next.
The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. And right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
Well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every single day, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, Landon, who's on upset alert?
All right, I'm going to count on a little Friday night madness here. I think Tulane is going to beat Memphis.
Okay.
That's one. I know I've been talking a lot about how much I like Memphis, but we've talked a lot about Friday nights. Weird things happen. Tulane's a good team. They still have a shot at, I think, winning that conference. But they kind of have to win this one if they're going to. Memphis coming off that big upset. Maybe there's a little bit of a letdown. So I'm taking Tulane to take this one.
In my opinion, I don't know if you felt the same. This might have been the hardest upset pick we've had this week. There's not many great. Yeah, there wasn't many like great games or games where you're like, okay, that's the one. Like that's the one. Like for example, if it wasn't for injuries, Missouri over Texas A&M would be a great one. It's at Missouri, and I don't think Missouri's great, but I just think they play pretty decent at home and in both Beulah, and we'll see what Texas A&M actually is as a team. But with the backup freshman, I can't do it.
That's a hard one.
Can't do it. Yeah, and then I looked at maybe Houston and UCF. Houston's favorite. It's at UCF, but I'm like Houston played too well. UCF's kind of struggled.
UCF's not good.
Yeah, Penn State and Indiana. Like before the season, that would have looked great, but now it looks terrible.
You don't even have Drew. Like what's going on there?
Yeah, right. So I ultimately went with. Actually, there's another one I just saw and I didn't see it earlier. I'm still going to stick with the one I had. I'm going to go with Florida State over Clemson. Clemson's actually favored by 2.5 in the game. It's at Clemson. Just the body language of Dabo. I think the Duke game ripped their hearts out. It's one of those that I think if they would have won that game, they probably win this week against Florida State. But because they lost in the way they lost, and seeing Dabo Swinney, and he kind of insinuated that refs are being paid off and gambling and stuff, which was, it's just not going good for him right now.
Is that the
and I think, and I think Florida State's still a good team. They hit a terrible slide where they lost 3 or 4 in a row, but I still think they're actually a good team. And so and by good I mean top 25 team. I don't mean top 10 and playoff team. I just think they hit a terrible stretch where they played really bad football, but. So I think they will win. The game I was referring to was without Hugh Freeze. I kind of like Auburn and the Vanderbilt. Like Vanderbilt's 6.5 favorite at Vanderbilt. But I will say this now that I think about it. I said, was it last week? I think it was last week that I was like, I can't bet against Vandy anymore. Because every time I do, they do well. So there you go. I'm sticking to it. I can't bet against them. But what if Hugh Freeze is the problem and they go and beat Vanderbilt?
Like kind of funny. So the other one I was looking at was actually BYU and Texas Tech.
I like that one too.
Tech is favored. Last time I saw, I think it was either 8 or 10 points. I mean, it is not a close.
10.5 right now.
So the line has actually moved since I looked at this one. I mean, if BYU went into Lubbock and won, I wouldn't be shocked. Like I would not be shocked if BYU won by 2 touchdowns, honestly.
We're in a tough spot, I think, in college football because I think ACC gets one team in for sure. Texas Tech after this game has an easy schedule, and BYU doesn't have a tough one either. But let's say Tech wins. They're both going to be most likely 11-1 going to the Big 12 championship. They've already said they can't hold the conference championship against you for the playoff.
Yeah.
There's a big chance of 2 11-1 Big 12 teams. It's hard to keep them out. Even though neither one played really anyone in non-conference or anything like that, it's going to be hard to keep them out. The other tough one is even if BYU wins, and let's say BYU's 12-0 and Tech is 10-2, they're probably still going to play for the Big 12 championship.
Yeah, probably.
And if Tech then wins that one, they're automatically in with that. And then you can't leave out a 12-1 BYU. So you're still getting to it.
Yeah. It's a weird situation. I can't remember the exact scenario that I was reading earlier where someone was like, one of those mailbags where people were throwing out, what if this happens? What if this happens to the reporter? And it was like, could a 9-3 Texas team get in over 10-2 Ole Miss? Because that third loss would be to Ohio State
on the road,
most likely the number 1 seed. Like,
which Ohio State, you lost by 7, and every team Ohio State's played since then, they've beaten by at least 18.
Yeah.
So they didn't dominate Texas. It's the only team they haven't dominated.
If Texas makes that point, they will beat 2 top 5 teams in the last couple weeks. So it would be, we're going to be in a weird situation in this.
There's a crazy path to where you see, obviously you get your, let's not count the SEC right now, but you get your 4 conference champion and then obviously SEC champion. So we'll count. There's 5. Not counting the SEC champion, we'll say that they're a 2-loss team as well. There's 6. There's a chance for 6 2-loss SEC teams.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't give all the spots to SEC because obviously Oregon should get in. Indiana probably, like, assuming Oregon wins out, Indiana should get in. Like, some of those have to go to the Big Ten. We just mentioned the 2 Big 12 teams that possibly will get in. Now ACC probably gets one. Notre Dame, they would be another one. Like, there could be some crazy discussions. And then in that case, a team like Texas with 3 losses probably won't get in.
No.
Like, you couldn't get them in. But in that scenario, they would have been one of the 2 losses. Yeah. But still, you couldn't put them in. Oklahoma, before the year, toughest schedule in college football, people thought, man, they go 9-3, they're getting in. They wouldn't be able to get in at that point if you have all that chaos out. And again, they would have been one of the 2-loss teams in that scenario too. But, yeah, it's going to be fun how we end this season. And it's not going to play out that way. There's going to be upsets, and there's going to be –
my favorite possible scenario I've seen, 7-way tie at the top of the ACC that would go to, like, coin flip number draw situation. So I'm going to need that ACC. I don't really care. Just get on that. I need a coin flip tiebreaker at some point in my life.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun. Honestly, that would be a lot of fun. But yeah, I mean, and honestly, we're going to be talking about all this, and then Tech is going to beat BYU. Then BYU is going to lose to West Virginia, and we're not even talking about it. Something weird's going to happen.
It always works itself out.
It does. Yeah, it does for sure. All right, well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen today. For your second listen, check out Locked On SEC. Chris Gordy breaks down the best conference in college sports, from the rivalries to the championship and every game in between. Find Locked On SEC on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, I'm Jaron. Check out my work over at Athlon Sports. That's Landon. Follow us, Locked On Mississippi State. We're on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. We post daily videos Monday through Friday. We'll also have our pre- and post-game videos posted on Saturday, so check that out. And until next time, Hail State.
Hail State.